Madore.
Now it's
We're all set. I'd like to call this regular town council meeting to order. If I can get a roll call, please.
Chair Galib,
Here.
Councilor Bracken,
Here.
Councilor Danforth,
Here.
Councilor Madore,
Here.
Councilor McEwen,
Here.
Councilor Pelletier,
Here.
Councilor Price.
Here. And if you could all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There is an adjustment to the agenda, order number 235, 2022. And with that, seeking approval of the minutes of the July 14th, 2022 regular town council meeting. So moved. Second. Motion by Councilor Bragdon, seconded by Councilor Prey. All those in favor, and I'm going to do roll call since we've got a few councilors on Zoom. Councilor McEwen.
Aye.
Councilor Madore.
Aye.
Councilor Prey.
Aye.
Councilor Danforth.
Aye.
Chair Galib, aye. Councilor Bragdon. Aye. Councilor Pelletier. Aye. Passes 7-0. Thank you. And with that, we'll join into the special presentations. We have representatives from ORPC here to discuss the River Turbine Energy Project at 1 North. Feel free to come up at the podium right here, and we can also put on display the presentation that we'll have pulled up.
You're gonna have to turn that mic on right on the top is let's around you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
No, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm sorry. I kind of lost my train of thought for a second. I pardon the interruption.
welcome back, Councilor Madore.
Only one brief
Well, Peter brings up the presentation. I can kind of provide a brief introduction here. My name is Nathan Johnson. I'm with Ocean Renewable Power Company, ORPC. We're based in Portland. Really appreciate the opportunity to present to the council and the town here. We've been in discussions with the folks at Arcatadden for almost 2 years now, because they're kind of slow with COVID, as with everything else. And so we're really starting to kind of move things forward. We're to a point where we may start seeing some activity at the mill, and wanted to provide an update on who we are and what we're up to. I'm joined by a couple of my colleagues as well. Katie Sellers Reynolds, who's here, who is our regulatory affairs manager. So has worked on the permitting and environmental aspects of many of our projects, as well as Taylor Martin, who's will be leading kind of the field operations here, as well as in other places where we've got deployments planned coming up. So we do have a presentation that's about 15 slides. We'll probably move pretty quickly through it, so leave some time for questions at the end, hopefully.
And that will be pulled up in a second. Thank you for your patience.
Excellent. Perfect. So this format's fine, or if you can go to slideshow, either one is fine. We can work through that.
It was there a moment ago. See how it's going now.
All right.
Wonderful.
So we're in the right place. Next slide. Just quick agenda. I've kind of mentioned this already. Just quick background on who we are. The project that we're planning on doing here is what we call our modular RigGen project, and we'll provide some more information. And I really would encourage you to ask questions if you have any questions about our company or our technology. So next slide. So we're founded in 2004, 17, almost 18 years ago now, based in Portland. We're all actually based out of Portland. We do have subsidiaries in Canada, Ireland, and Chile. looking for deploying our turbine units there. And we're rapidly growing, grown from 25, 30 employees to close to 40 in the past year. What we do is we develop technology that creates electricity from moving water. So these are turbines that are not placed in hydropower facilities or need a dam. They actually free flow in the water. And actually go back to the previous slide for a second. And we do that in partnership with a number of universities, with some of the national funding entities, as well as national labs here in the US. So there's a lot of advantages to this type of technology in terms of out of sight, no noise, no impedance to fish or the natural flow of the water. And we'll get into that a little bit more. We have kind of our keystone project is in a remote community in Alaska, and we'll highlight that. What that is looking at doing is really having a whole microgrid which will enable them to reduce their reliance on diesel, which they use for electricity production, which results in incredibly high cost of power, but also a lot of environmental risk to their environment. And that really gets into, we're focused on climate solutions, clean energy jobs, and certainly empowering communities. We work very closely with communities in Alaska, here in Maine, as well as elsewhere around the world. So next slide. A little more detail on our work in Maine. We, again, are based in Portland. We have an engineering lab that's at the former Brunswick Naval Air Station, which is now Tech Place in Brunswick. Have had a number of activities. We've worked in the Eastport area since 2007, actually. In 2012, we had the first tidal energy device in the Americas to empower a grid. We've done that, at the time it was with Bangor Hydro, which is now Versant Power. So we have partnerships with Versant, and we continue to develop that project. We've also have other partnerships around that as well. And then, as I said, over the last couple of years, I've developed a relationship with the folks at Arc Katahdin, and really think there's a lot of opportunities here to test our river systems in this environment. Very accessible, very much aligned with their vision for the site, and so we're excited about that. Next slide. So this provides a little more detail on our core technology. It's what we call a cross-flow turbine technology. So it's foils that are connected, and we call them foils, not blades. They're actually shaped like airplane wings, so they create lift and generate the torque around a shaft that turns a generator and provides electricity to send to shore. We call that core technology our turbine generator unit. And the RivGen, which is the unit that's second from left there, is the device that we've had operating into our 4th year now in a remote community in Alaska. We're building several other units. The next one is going into a test site in the Winnipeg River in Manitoba. We're working on our next generation tidal energy systems in Eastport, as well as doing some development through our Irish office in Europe. And then what we want to focus on tonight is modular RivGen, which is same core technology. I think there's advantages to that because it's a proven technology with some enhancements for different flow regimes and different end uses. So we'll talk about that shortly. Next slide. Again, we've kind of designed our systems to have a common platform. Our CEO likes to refer to it almost as the automobile industry, where you have common chassis and brakes and generators. So we're able to conform to different environments, different end uses, and also be very mobile to be able to ship the components across the world, across the country, to remote communities, to other places as well. So they're really designed to all fit on flatbed trailers, so they can be easily moved around without the use of real heavy equipment, which tends to really increase costs on projects. Next slide. So, and actually, I think if you click again, the video will start here. So this is, I'll kind of walk through it. This is a video of a drone video of our RivGen power system. Seems to be working in Alaska. We can send the link out after the. Yeah, I guess if you can't click on it. Well, I'll describe it.
Could you stand a little
Closer. Okay. Hopefully there's less feedback there. Yeah, so this is actually, I'll describe it. It's a drone video. The water is incredibly clear in this environment, and the community is called Igiagig, Alaska. And it actually gives a kind of feeling of the speed that these turbines rotate at. In Igiagig, the flow speed is a little higher than it is here in Millinocket Stream. So it rotates, on the order of 60 rotations per minute, which is fairly slow. We anticipate in Millinocket Stream, the modular rib gen will actually be rotating at 40 to 45 RPMs, which is, again, pretty slow when you think about it from an environmental fishery interaction perspective. The devices are fairly large. The rib gen device is 50 feet across. We deploy it on what we call our pontoon support system, which is really optimized for remote communities. So it's like a pontoon boat that's submersible. So everything goes underwater. This next generation of technology that we're looking at testing here is different. It's optimized for sites where there's access to equipment that can easily deploy without the local assets. And this site is also higher flow speeds, as I mentioned. So unfortunately, that video doesn't seem to be playing, but we can follow up with a YouTube. It's on YouTube link. Next slide. Oh, actually, just one other thing to note here on the Igiagig project. I could talk for hours on the Igiagig project, but it's a small native community. I mentioned before, we're actually deploying 2 devices there that will offset their diesel use by 60 to 90%. It's the highest concentration of sockeye salmon in North America, perhaps the world. So we're now entering our 4th year of operation. So there's been hundreds of millions of salmon smolt and tens of millions of adult sockeye that have passed by the RibGen device. We've had cameras on it. Between how it's sighted and how we feel it's designed, we've actually have not seen a single injury mortality to a single fish. We feel good about that. Doesn't mean there's zero risk, but we've been able to document that, and that's really important. The larger fish tend to avoid it. The smaller fish can go through it or over it, and so we haven't seen any negative effects there at all. Next slide. And this is a little bit more of a schematic of how the project in Igiagig works. It's multiple devices. We're actually working with Schneider Electric to couple it with a battery energy storage system and a control system to really optimize that offset of diesel, which ultimately for the community really will reduce their use of diesel and cost and environmental risk associated with it. This is a model we think is very replicable in the lower 48 as well, for microgrids, isolated grids, critical infrastructure, et cetera, as kind of the national grid transitions more to distributed generation versus centralized generation. Next slide. So kind of drilling down a little bit more on the technology that we anticipate deploying here in Millinocket. Next slide. So this is actually under a program with the U.S. Department of Energy. And what they were looking for in terms of a program was optimizing our technology, and actually it was open to other technologies as well, to increase performance in lower flow sites, reduce costs, increase and also be able to interconnect devices easily. So that's where we've come up with our modular RibGen technology. We've got some more details on the next slides on this, but we think there's a lot of opportunities for different use cases as well. So integrating our turbines into existing infrastructure, like downstream of hydropower facilities, into bridge structures, into flood control barriers, or into major river systems like the Mississippi River or Missouri River as well. So we're excited about that. We're actively looking at all those opportunities as part of this program. And then certainly part of this program is building a device, testing that device, and we think Millinocket Stream is an ideal place to do that. Next slide. A little more detail. So this looks, again, it's the same core turbine technology. We're actually testing some new generators on this, and then they're separate units. So the intent is to deploy one half of this first, and then couple it to another and deploy it. This slide gives a little bit better idea of kind of the size. Each module is about 25 feet in length, about 8.5 feet, about 8 by 8 by height by width, just to give you an idea of that. These can be connected vertically in a deeper water environment or horizontally or both. And again, we're looking at some lower velocity sites. We've gone out to the Millinocket Stream site. We've coordinated with Brookfield to get some historical data. We see flow speeds at the site between 1.5 and 1.7 meters per second generally. So our site in Igiaga, Alaska is between 2 and 2.5 meters per second. So this is a lower flow site, but we think it's ideal for testing purposes. Next slide. So this kind of shows things in much more detail. As I mentioned before, we're looking at 2 of these units, looking at ultimately putting them side by side. We've looked at the site in terms of flow, width of the river to enable doing that. And so downstream of the existing steel bridge there is what we see as a deployment site. And what we would do is deploy an anchor upstream, bridle that back under the bridge and deploy 1 device first in the late October timeframe. The anchor would actually probably go in early October, late October for a single device, and then we would take it out and couple that second device to it and put it back in to run over the course of the winter until the May timeframe. Again, this is kind of somewhat prescriptive as part of the Department of Energy program to test the units for being able to commercialize the technology. So that's the intent. The power will not be sent into the grid. It'll be sent to a Connex box, more or less, with equipment in it. We call it a short station, and it'll be dissipated in a load bank there. So hopefully that provides some background on kind of where we're looking at deploying this. Next, and I will note that we are partnering with Millinocket Fabrication as well as part of this project. We certainly look to contract with as many main contractors as possible. We're doing that for multiple contractors in the state. We were made aware of Millinocket Fab's expertise, and we're impressed by their capabilities, and they will be doing some of the assembly work and work on our shaft. So also excited about that being located right here. Next slide. Just some further details on kind of what we'd anticipate. We do know, we have heard that there can be some fishing in the area, so we want to make sure we take that into consideration. We mark the site accordingly. So we'll have buoys on the upstream camera, and then also mark kind of the perimeter of the device itself. We don't anticipate having any restrictions to uses around it. There'll be about 1.5 feet of water. We anticipate putting signage around and making folks very aware of it. Certainly very willing to come back and talk to folks and make sure they're aware, understand kind of what we're doing. Certainly, I think there'll be an opportunity to, when the devices are built and on a site, if folks are interested in taking a look at those, we'd be happy to communicate and show folks that as well. And as I said, there will be a Connex box on kind of the east side of the river as well, and we'll mark that cable. Not high voltage cable by any means. It's actually relatively low voltage, but we'll make sure it's marked accordingly. So that's what we anticipate for what things will look like on the site. I believe that might be the last slide. We may have, yeah, okay. Perfect. So with that, again, appreciate the opportunity to present and kind of let folks know what we're up to and who we are. Certainly open to questions either tonight or the slide after that actually has our contact information. I'll leave my card as well if folks want it. Worth noting as well that we have developed some informational flyers that are here at Town Hall as well as at Arctaden and available on websites as well. So a lot of that information is captured in that as well. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much for being here and for presenting. We'll go first to the council. If we have any questions or comments, and then to the public. Councilor Prey.
Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. I assume you're working with Office of Energy Efficiency at DOE.
No, this is actually through, there's a couple different divisions, but it's the EERE, which is Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, and it's their Water Power Technology Office. So it's actually the same office that does provide funding to the hydropower group as well.
Talked about the depth is 18 inches on that.
Yep.
That's a navigable river. I know people canoe it and stuff, and obviously 18 inches won't necessarily be a significant thing, but a few people use motorboats on it. That could be an issue, or
Yeah, that's good to know. I think, certainly in, in the Alaska site, where we actually have enough draft of that turbine, to allow for their vessels there. But what we would anticipate doing is, you're right, this is shallower draft than we've done in other places. So I think it's a combination of making folks aware of it, and then also having the right signage as well. So we would be happy to, if you have recommendations on how to best convey that, we'd be happy to.
have you had conversations with the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, the habitat
Yeah, I'm gonna
impact?
defer. I don't think so. We,
You need to come to the mic. There are people listening.
Yeah, so we've gone through a lot of consultation with resource agencies for this particular project. So with DOE, we went through National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA approval. So they consult with all of their federal agencies for approval for us to work on this test project. So that was the first kind of group that we jumped through. And then in regards to local, federal and state permitting and approvals, we worked with Maine DEP, Jim Bayer, specifically. So he kind of manages the site from a DEP perspective, and then DEP, they consult with inland fisheries and DMR and, other agencies for their input internally. So they approve of the project. We have their written consultation on the project. And then in regards to Army Corps, consulted with them and have their approval as well.
The answer to my question was yes.
Everyone's been approved of.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the effort because I do understand the state regulatory step on this.
Yeah.
I had one other comment. What's the, how much power you're expecting to get out of each of them? And is there a downsize to the, you're talking about separating them by about 50 feet,
They'll actually be connected right together.
connected right together, so the flow will be going through one through the other.
No, not, they'll be next to each other. So the flow will be going through both at the same time. And the output is, gonna vary greatly with the flow speed. And so we anticipate that, I believe at 2 meters per second, each unit is about 18 kilowatts.
About 18.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cray, and thank you, Katie, for that description. Not everyone is as informed as Councilor Cray on the process, so it is helpful to have that information. Councilor Danforth?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the presentation. You talked about it being a test site. And so there's just a short period of time that you're going to be involved here. What happens after the test site? Is there some follow-up or something that's going to happen great for us at that site?
That's a great question. And so wanted to focus on this first project because it's a little bit clearer because we have a scope to do. What we would like to do is work with the folks at Architon to develop this into a more permanent test site. We're in very initial discussions to see what that would look like. But from ORPC's perspective, there really is no open water river test site in the United States that you can put in a turbine, you can put in a generator, you can put in different components and test them. And we think that this could be a terrific site to do that, especially if you kind of put in a little bit of infrastructure to be able to deploy devices quickly and with ease. That's a little bit, that's a longer term vision that we really would like to see, but this focuses more on this most immediate. So I'd be happy to have that conversation. I think it could be a real terrific opportunity.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. Any other council question or comment? Councilor Pelletier?
Thanks for the presentation. I'm just curious why you anticipate the energy that from your test project.
Another good question. One of the challenges, especially with the test project, is if you're connecting into the grid, you need to get a license from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. And historically, that's in our industry can be a 5 to 7 year project process. So it is not worth, for a short-term project, it's not worth connecting into the grid. There are ways, they have what they call a burden exception. If it's short-term, again, if you're not sending things into the power grid. Long-term, we think there's actually an opportunity that we could test different use cases. One of the things that we're looking at is, could you have mobile EV charging units and other things like that? We're not connecting into the grid, but you're still providing power for beneficial use.
So it could be a continued test site versus 7 years down the road getting a permanent installation.
Yeah, I think we can do things much quicker now, but the FERC process is very lengthy and rigorous. And so there could be opportunities in the future to do that, but I think in the near term, working with the state agencies, working in lieu of FERC jurisdiction, it's actually Army Corps jurisdiction, and we have a good relationship with them to continue testing under that parameter.
So given it would be 7 or 8 years on the road for any kind of permanent power production there, if
Yes.
ever, what benefit does our One North or have this?
Yeah, so I think the benefits, and I will caveat that I think with this site, we could probably move much quicker. It wouldn't be 6 months, but it would probably be 2 to 3 years. We might be able to get a license. So for a test site, I think that there would be an opportunity to bring in contractors, bring in people to train them on the turbines. We certainly have seen some of the benefits of that type of work in Eastport. But it would not be a direct benefit to the grid per se, likely from this project or a technology like ours. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Councilor Pelletier. Councilor Madore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me start off by saying thank you for taking the initiative of using or developing this technology on the One North Mill site. I appreciate the fact that you've taken an interest in the Katahdin region, and hopefully this will be a long-term partnership for you, One North, and the town of Millinocket. The other thing I wanted to ask, given the diameter of the turbine and the size of the stream, would an opportunity to go ahead and adjust the turbine in the water so that a channel could be developed on the side opposite the cable so that boats with motors could get by and canoes without disturbing either the turbine or the cable when it's installed? It seems to me that the diameter that you stated, there should be some wiggle room on one side of the project where a passing channel could be, or detour could be directed for motorized or canoes to get through without disturbing your process.
Yeah, I think that's correct. So the two devices side by side will be about 50 feet. I believe the width of the river in that section, Taylor, I may refer to, is about 110 feet. So there would be roughly 25 to 30 feet on either side for passage in deeper draft. So that I don't think we would impede navigation from that perspective. We wouldn't be blocking the whole width of the river, is my point. So, and then certainly, if there's longer term infrastructure there in place, then we'd be happy to have that conversation as well, to see what works best for existing uses.
I just think it would be beneficial to all concerned if markers could be put up suggesting a channel to one side that all traffic would go one way, so that going and coming, so that there would be no impediment of you or them going forward. I think that would work out real well. Also, I echo Councilor Pelletier in the fact that if there is any power generated, even if it's minimal, whether it could be used either by One North or if there was something that could be done, battery storage or otherwise, that could be used by the town in some way, shape, or form, would be greatly appreciated. I don't know if I know probably not generating enough to be able to put anything on the grid, but certainly something could be worked out, I assume, if this was to become a longer term situation, I would hope.
I think we share that vision as well. And so be happy to explore what some of those uses would be, for sure.
I appreciate that. Welcome to the community. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Madore. I think that feeling is mutual. Councilor McEwen?
Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you for your presentation, and I don't have any questions. Anything that's been asked has already been answered, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McEwen. Any other council comment or question? I'll just cap off by saying also welcome to the community. As Councilor Madore also pointed towards potentially a longer term relationship. Obviously, we're in an investor-owned utility state. If there were any chance of developing a microgrid locally, do you have some idea in mind on how that would work here without buying out basically the entire infrastructure of Versant?
Yeah, that's, I don't know how deep I'll get into that answer, but I think we're very mindful of the existing players and they're not looking to step on any toes here. Again, I think that primarily, at least initially, this will be a test site. Agree with the other councilors that if we can find a beneficial use for the power, that's terrific as well. I think there's longer term, discussions that certainly could be happening in terms of the state of, the electricity grid in the state and elsewhere as well. I don't think it's unique to Maine.
Sure, and I appreciate that. I personally see the issue, obviously, of energy demand locally versus being on this pretty outdated grid. And I've been trying to seek opportunities to have locally produced energy that can be in a microgrid, basically, that can withstand any disruptions that might be regional or statewide or company-wide. So certainly keeping an eye towards that would be appreciated. Also, I lost my keys somewhere around where you're developing. So if you happen to find them there, those are mine.
Good to know.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the public? And seeing none, thank you again for being here and for your presentation. Welcome to the community.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we'll certainly be in touch and we have our contact information if you need to touch base with us. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our second presentation from our CID position, Amber, to discuss the climate resiliency.
Is that better? Is that good? How about now? How about now? Okay, Maine Resiliency Partnership. These are the survey results from the community workshop. Oh. There we go. What is the Maine Resiliency Partnership? The Maine Resiliency Partnership is a program that will assist municipalities and tribal communities through direct grant support to reduce carbon emissions, transition to clean energy, and become more resilient to climate change effects such as to extreme weather, flooding, rising sea levels, public health impacts, and more.
Once a community is enrolled in the partnership, they are eligible to pursue community action grants through the governor's office. They have a $5,000 minimum and a $50,000 maximum request amount. We can go for that funding twice a year. If we were to collaborate efforts with another community, we could go for 100,000 twice a year. What are the priorities per the state of Maine? In efficient transportation, reducing driving, weatherization, energy efficient LED lighting, install heat pumps, support sustainable new construction, support and install renewable energy, protect and conserve land, protect and conserve water, improve community resilience, manage flood risk, protect public health, engage and educate. On August 23rd, the town of Millinocket hosted a community workshop which prioritized the following action areas. Number one, initiate a community bulk purchasing program with a vendor or vendors to provide low-cost equipment such as heat pumps and solar for interested residents and businesses. Number two, implement strategies that increase public transit ridership and alternative transportation modes, including walking and bike infrastructure. Number three, amplify public health advisories for climate-related health and weather events, such as air quality advisories, extreme heat or cold events, extreme storms, power outages, etc. Number four, install a renewable energy project. Number five, upgrade streetlights and exterior lighting for municipally, tribally owned facilities with energy efficient LED lighting, and install a heat pump or VRF system for heating and cooling. The surveys suggested the top three projects are weatherized buildings, install heat pumps, and transportation. The posters from the workshop additionally suggested that reduce driving, protect public health, and upgrade to LED are priorities for Millinocket. With these in mind, we were able to prioritize different projects to help Millinocket become more resilient to the effects of climate change. This is an example of, or this is the result from just the surveys. As you can see, the top four priorities are weatherized buildings, install heat pumps, transportation, and reduce driving. We added in just the posters to demonstrate that protect public health and upgrade to LED was a huge focus in comparison to the paper surveys. So what's next? The next step is to write a grant proposal to the Maine Resiliency Partnership that's due September 20th. The plan is to apply for funding for one of the top priorities, installing heat pumps. The town of Millinocket will use the funds to reimburse citizens upon purchase of a new heat pump for their home. Along with the Efficiency Maine rebate for first-time heat pump installation, citizens would be looking at an out-of-pocket cost of about $600 to $800, and that's including installation. I'm looking at working alongside the Sustainability Committee to produce a detailed plan on what that program could look like. Anyone have any questions?
Councilor Pelletier?
Would heat pump, hot water heaters be part of that program?
Just heat pumps.
Thank you, Amber. Councilor Pelletier, we'll go to the public in a second. Thank you, Councilor Pelletier. Excuse me, Pray.
Lost more than your keys.
Thank you for
No
noting.
intended insult. Amber, I just had a previous conversation and I do like what you presented here. I just want to make a couple of concerns that I've expressed before.
Absolutely.
I wish more Millinocket people were participating when we host these events. It was a great event. It was a great day. The turnout that was there was good. And of course, it's not the first one, nor the last one. And all of these are worthwhile projects. But I want to make sure that the media and other people, the public, understand this isn't the town putting up money. This is the town looking to apply for grants and to get that money to help local residences to step forward with their needs and to have those needs addressed.
Correct.
And this is to work through the local vendors and the businesses in town that provide some of these services. So I think it's a very positive first step. And I just want everybody to understand that this is kind of a quasi-governmental with the state, the community, but most importantly, the people of the community that need to understand that more that they support efforts like this, the better chance we have of getting grants and so forth. We're a community that should qualify in a number of factors, having been impacted as we have over the last decade and a half to 2 decades, a decline of close to 45, 46% of our population, economic loss of income and so forth. So I think we really should be high on the list to qualify for these programs and to help these people in this community that have those needs that can help them save money, improve the environment, cut down their energy costs, and address some of the concerns that some of the citizens have put forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Prey. Are there any other council comments or questions? Councilor Madore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First and foremost, Amber, I want to say thank you very much for being out in front on this and being the point person. I think you're doing an excellent job, and I think the workshop was very informative. And I think that the results of the surveys, I find the top 3 things that were identified or 4 were spot on. I think heating, but important, almost as important now, and it's been brought up, Councillor Danforth has brought it up in her role as helping with the community as far as health and wellness, as far as transportation is concerned. And it's been brought up that people are walking in the wintertime, that they are trying to get from downtown to up above. So I think transportation is equally as important. I think this is going right to the heart of what Millinocket needs as a jump off point. And the other things, I believe, is this perpetual every year, Amber, that we again can apply for these? Once we are part of this, we can apply for grants each year for different projects?
That all depends on what the governor decides, depending on who is elected governor.
Okay. Very good. Then hopefully the right governor continues the program, because I think this is needed not only in our community, but statewide. So again, thank you very much for this. I agree wholeheartedly with the results of the survey, and I look forward to the next step. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Madore. Any other, Councilor Bragdon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I love this a lot because it directly impacts people in their homes. You know, there's a lot of people in town that don't realize that heat pumps have reimbursement, let alone us helping participate in it creates a much lower cost for heat pumps. So I'm very happy to hear that this directly impacts people's homes. Overall, I think it was a great presentation. I love the survey. I love the chart you brought up that shows the different percentages of what people were looking to have done. So I'm glad that this is moving forward, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Bragdon. Any other, Councilor Danforth?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Amber, did I hear you say you're going to take this to the Sustainability Committee meeting tomorrow?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I want to discuss that as well, because ideally in my head, after having conversations with Peter, we're looking at impacting like 50 households. If we can give each of them $1,000, but how do we pick and choose? I think that should be up to the Sustainability Committee, whether that's everyone enters like a lottery, people fill out an application. I'm not sure what that would look like. And definitely would need the Sustainability Committee support on that.
Okay, so I appreciate, so tomorrow I'll be at the Sustainability Committee. We can work through some of those details. Because my first thought was, okay, what if we aren't able to spend all of the money? Is there a plan B, or somehow that the application is written that there's another use of the funds and that sort of thing? So I'm just thinking through the application and the use of it just from a grant
Yeah.
writer grant perspective. So
Absolutely.
sounds like I'll get an opportunity tomorrow to talk more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. And just to note, the Sustainability Committee nor myself has discussed this idea with Amber yet. So this is a new topic, and obviously, with the policies that we have in place, the committee can't make any final decisions. Tomorrow is just the time to discuss how this might look, hear from Amber on what her perspective is, and hopefully we can come up with a plan that the council could then review and decide how we can all move forward with that. Counselor McEwen?
Thank you. No, I just think this is a wonderful idea, and thank you, Amber, for all your efforts and your work into this. But heating is the most important thing on people's mind in the next month. Some of the mornings we've had have been in the mid-40s, so we're heading there very quickly. Good use of funds, and if we can get the grant and make this program happen, I think it will be a huge benefit to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McEwen, and just echoing a thank you to you, Amber, and I look forward to discussing this with you tomorrow more. The public is certainly invited to those committee meetings that will be posted, or should be posted already, of the time. I believe it's 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. In the manager's office, there's also a Zoom link, so you can join remotely as well, and we'll discuss that there. Thank you, Amber. And Mr. Manager?
Great work. Thank you very much. I also wanted to, I noticed Ms. Sharon Klein is on the Zoom meeting. I wanted to offer her some thanks for her guidance to myself, to Amber, to Tom, throughout this process. She's been an incredible help. She's the facilitator, helping us administer this grant. I knew I'd get it eventually. So thank you to her as well, but great work, Amber. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Now to the public.
I just have one question.
Name and address, please.
Oh. Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. Is this program available? All the other programs are for first time. Like, if you have 10 years ago, put a heat pump in and got $500, they efficiency maintenance won't.
That's something that has to be discussed with the sustainability committee. I definitely want their support as to, again, how we pick and choose what citizens would qualify. Because through efficiency, maybe you're right, it's only first time heat pump purchasing.
And so anyone who has a heat pump that no longer works,
Right.
that wants to get a new one and can't afford it, this would be a great.
Yes, thank you.
So just the answer to those on Zoom was that the Sustainability Committee needs to discuss that further.
No, enough.
Jeff?
Jeff Campbell, 3 Juniper Street. I was just curious if there was a short list of what qualifies and what doesn't qualify. What their income levels, is there a list that?
Again, those details we're gonna have to work out in conversation with the sustainability committee.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And those details will be worked out, as Amber mentioned. Councilor Fraser, do you have a response to that?
I just want to make note of one thing, that the power of the purse sits with the legislature, not the governor. So the governor does have the veto power, but the spending comes from the legislature. Governor can propose, and no matter which governor is in. So I have my favorite. I agree with Councilor Madore. But with that said, I know of examples where even both political parties have supported programs that one of the governors haven't. So I think that this is a good program for the state and for people in that situation. Wanted to make that one point of clarification.
Thank you, Councilor Prey. Councilor Madore?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to note that I think we don't want to go ahead and try to speculate or anything too soon. I think we put the cart before the horse if we don't go ahead and apply for the grant first, get the wherefores for the application. And then once the grant is awarded, if we are awarded one, then I think we can go ahead and deal with the particulars at that time through the Sustainability Committee and the council to be able to figure out how best to use the money. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Madore. Any other public comment? And seeing none, thank you again, Amber. Look forward to discussing that more tomorrow. And with that, we will move on to Resolve number 2, 2022. Counselor Pelletier, if I could have you read that, please.
Yes, sir. Resolve number 2-2022. A proclamation in recognition of the town of Millinocket to join the Maine Community Resilience Partnership. Whereas the town of Millinocket has completed the Community Resiliency Partnership's Community Resilience Self-Assessment and a list of community actions, and held a community workshop on August 23rd, 2022, which prioritizes the following action areas. 1, initiate a community bulk purchasing program with a vendor or vendors to provide low-cost equipment such as heat pumps and solar for interested residents and businesses. Implement strategies that increase public transit ridership and alternative transportation modes, including bike and walking infrastructure. 3, amplify public health advisories for climate-related health and weather events such as air quality advisories, extreme heat or cold events, extreme storms, power outages, waterborne disease outbreaks, harmful algal blooms, vector-borne diseases, trends, etc. 4, installing renewable energy projects, solar, wind, geothermal, anaerobic digestion, etc. on a municipal tribal property. Example, school rooftops, wellhead protection area, landfill, brownfield sites, etc. 5, upgrade streetlights and exterior lighting for municipal tribal-owned facilities with energy efficiency LED and minimize light pollution with downlighting where possible. 6, install a heat pump system or VRF system for heating/cooling and heat pump water heating in municipal tribal buildings. It resolved, the town of Millinocket commits to participating in the Community Resilience Partnership, which supports community leadership in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and increasing resilience to extreme weather and climate change impacts. Be it further resolved, town of Millinocket designates a community initiative director with oversight by the Sustainability Committee to coordinate planning, implementation, and monitoring of energy and resilience projects, and to be the primary point of contact to the Community Resilience Partnership.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Pelletier, seconded by Counselor Madore. Discussion of the council. And out of the public. Also seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor of the resolve, Counselor McEwen,
Aye.
Counselor Madore,
Aye.
Counselor Prey,
Aye.
Counselor Danforth,
Aye.
Chair Gully by, Counselor Bragdon. Aye. Counselor Pelletier.
Aye.
The resolve passes 7-0. And with that, we'll move to new business. Mr. Manager, for your town manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have 2 pages this evening, so you'll all be very thankful for that. So we do have the school department budget referendum that is taking place next week, Tuesday, the 13th. That'll be in Wentworth Gymnasium at the Stearns High School. Polls will be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The registrar will hold office hours while the polls are open to correct any error or change a name, address, on the voting list, and to accept the registration of any person eligible to vote, and to accept any new enrollments. The proposed school budget that will be voted on can be viewed at millinocket.org by clicking the notice of election under news and events. And then on that page, you click directly on the link for the FY23 school budget revised, updated 8/29/22. That link is right there visible on the page in big blue lettering. So an update on the tax commitment and tax bills. So with the delay of the approval of the school budget, we are also going to experience a slight delay in the disbursement of tax bills. So our assessor has done all the necessary work in preparation of tax commitment, and will be ready to execute that process upon her return the week of the 19th. So as soon as possible, after her return, we will inform the council of the proposed mill rate, the justification for it, and then we will go ahead with distribution of the tax bills to property and business owners in the community. The FY 22 audit is in process. Ron Smith and his colleagues from RHR Smith and Company have been on site this week plugging away after quite a period of time of our staff going ahead and scanning documents and passing information back and forth electronically. So they have a few more visits to make during the process. They'll be meeting with our staff here at the municipal building more, as well as the administration at the school. So we look forward to seeing that process through and seeing the results. We have a very good track record with these audits in the past decade or so, and I'm really happy to know that, and I look forward to seeing through another round of it. So the secret is out that the Community Initiatives Director and I have made it a mission to bring the ski tow back to life. And in this process, Amber, our Community Initiatives Director, has discovered a Winter Kids grant program and entered the town of Millinocket to be in the running to win up to $10,000. This would essentially cover the cost of the actual rope tow and installation, leaving other funding opportunities that are already on our radar to go towards the groundwork, electricity, a building to house the mechanics, possibly some staffing. Much is still to be determined, but the ball is rolling. And so this grant, these grants from Winter Kids is, they are awarded to the project with the highest number of votes. So this is an opportunity for our community to come together in good spirits and with a common goal to visit this link as often as possible with every email address that you can come up with and cast a vote as many times as possible throughout the end of the month of September. The link for voting is available. I believe it's pinned to the top of the Town of Millinocket Facebook page. And if it's not, it will be. It's also, it's definitely on there. It may or may not be pinned to the top. And then it is also, if you go right to the winterkids.org website, it'll prompt you, follow the prompts right on the main screen there, and you'll be able to cast your vote. So please encourage your, one another and your neighbors and your neighbors' neighbors, your family members, your friends, anyone that you know, to encourage them to cast a vote so that we can get this funding to help push that project forward. I would be incredible to see that ski tow up and running for kids and families in our community to have a whole lot of fun. Also, so that I don't have to put a 3-year-old on my shoulders and a 7-year-old in a sled behind me and make the hike on my own. What's going on? Oh, he's bringing up.
This is the link.
It's not screen sharing. Got it on the.
Says it is on the.
Oh,
I've got it.
oh, okay. That's wonderful.
I'll bring it over to this one real quick so you guys can see.
I had it.
This is the link right here. It is not into the top, it's about 10 paces down.
Okay, it is on the screen. It is just a little ways down. Maybe we can go in and pin that to the top. I hope that everyone will take the opportunity to vote with any email address they can come up with. So an update on the local election. Since I submitted this report, we have had a couple of nomination papers be returned. So there is an addition to my report. And I'll give an update on everybody who has turned in their nomination papers and will be on the ballot in November. So town council candidates will be, unless others, this is unless others return their paperwork by the deadline, 4 o'clock tomorrow. 4 o'clock tomorrow, September 9th. So town council candidates, Gilda Stratton, Robert Higgins, and Jesse Dumay. School board candidates, Kevin Gregory, Thomas Malcolm, and Kevin Libby. So we do know that there are several others with papers out. So if you have intentions of returning them, please do so by tomorrow afternoon, so we can have everything finalized and get moving towards the election. We wish everybody the best of luck and the best of intentions. I'm going to give a few friendly reminders. Number one is that, this is my broken record. My door is almost always open. If something's on your mind or you've heard one of those fancy upsetting rumors that spread throughout our town so quickly, please come in and see me. I'm always willing to talk and answer any question about anything I can. Facebook is not always a source of accurate information. And according to some entries in our local paper, that is not always a source of accurate information as well. I understand that there are several new additions this week from members of our community that are filled with inaccuracies. So, please approach the source, and I invite anyone who enjoys spreading this sort of information to come visit us at the town office so we can talk about it and I can give you the correct information. I'm very happy to do that. Lastly, if you haven't already, please take this step and sign up for our email correspondence and updates from the town. This is a fabulous and very 2022 way of communicating and keeping our community up to date. Our mission is that we'll be able to inform the public with what's going on and what's coming up. The success of our town depends on community members engaging and having the right information. Our email contacts list has grown from 0 to over 380 very quickly, but we have a few thousand to go. There are links on the Town of Millinocket Facebook page and a sign-up sheet at the town office. If you're, not on the internet very often, you can come in and sign up in person. We'll be very happy to help you out with that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact our Community Initiatives Director, Amber Wheaton. Her email is cid@millinocket.org, and her direct line here at the office, 207-447-4100. It's a great source of newsletters and updates and requests for online votes where we need your support to get a $10,000 grant so that we can install a ski tow. So I'm very happy to answer any questions or take any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilor Bragdon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To start off, the 2022 way of communicating. There was discussions, obviously, when this was started on possibly bringing it to text message, sort of similar to what the school does. Is there any progress on that?
Well, we have been made aware that that has become available. It was not available when we signed up, but we knew that it was going to be coming available. We understand that there is more of a charge than we had expected. So it is something that we are still discussing and weighing the options of, seeing how the email goes at first. But potentially we could bring that forward in the near future if there's interest in a little bit of an additional investment to that.
Perfect, thank you. Skeeto, when will we know the results on who won?
Mid-October at the latest, I'm told.
Thank you to all who are running and are planning on turning in their papers. It's a big thing to step up and do what the counselors up here do with everything, especially what's been going on recently. So I appreciate everyone, including the school board, for those who ran. I agree with what you said about the open door policy. There have definitely been some rumors and some very false rumors that have spread very fast recently. Counselors have been, pretty open about it, including myself. I've always stated that my phone is always on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on the weekends. If someone wants to give me a call and ask me a question, I always have my phone on me. Willing to sit down and have a conversation with somebody. If somebody wants to go get a cup of coffee, I'm more than willing to sit down and talk with them as well. So I also have an open door policy for anybody who has any concerns or comments that they would like to reach out and say. I do want to mention, it wasn't on here, but me and Peter had talked about it briefly. The IT upgrade for the chamber is basically completed at this point. I would like to get some further clarification from the counselors on sound upgrade. We have talked about it numerous times up till now. I would like to start working on something, if that is the wish of the council, that me and Peter can start and, bring something to the counselors on a sound upgrade, because obviously we've had massive issues as of recent. So I'm looking to get some clarification from the counselors on that. And I also wanted to put out there that by the next council meeting, Circle K gas will be closed. Just wanted to point that out for everybody in the public. I know it's been a huge concern lately, so I know KG has stepped up to the plate and they've been pretty open with the public, but I wanted to let everybody know that we will, Circle K will be closed for 8 to 10 weeks, depending on if there's no issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bratton. Any other council comment on matters support? Councilor Prey?
I only have one concern. Thank you for the report. In reference to the Skeeto and winter activity for kids, is raising the issue of possible staffing. If you're going to have a tow rope and a generator and stuff, you need staffing. So either the recreation budget or something is what it used to be years ago when I was a kid. But it's just for liability purposes.
Right, the word possible was directed at the use of grant funding to go towards that. We understand that we will need to have staffing there, but the possible potential of using some of that grant funding that we were going to, that we were seeking out to purchase the equipment may now be able to be reallocated to staffing as not to use our municipal budget.
And just to add to that, it's quite costly staffing people as opposed to dinosaurs, as may have been the case when you were a child.
Just for a little history, mankind wasn't around when dinosaurs were here. They outdated us by several million years. And Neanderthal, there's some lineage still around.
Close enough. Thank you. Any other council comment on matters of support? Councilor Madore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, referendum. I am very happy that this is going to have the opportunity for closure, at least for this year. I thank everybody involved that got the work done here. I know it dragged for a while, but it certainly picked up momentum. Again, I want to thank everybody that was involved with getting to this point, and hopefully we'll get things closed, tax committed, and the mill rate set in as timely fashion. So thank you to all involved. As far as the Skeeto and the Winter Kids, I can't encourage people enough to vote, vote, vote. And flood, social media, including individuals who like to use social media for everything else. This is a great opportunity to put this out there for the betterment of children in the area. As it's been stated so many times, and it almost sounds cliche-ish, but in this case, it's very true. It's for the kids. And I'd like to see this happen. I think it would be a big boost. I think the logistics as far as staffing or whatever can be worked out at a time, but let's at least get started. And I, again, encourage everybody, please go to the site, vote for Millinocket. Let's get this first phase done and get this tow rope started. As far as the IT upgrade, I say yes, definitely move forward. It's necessary, it's needed, and we might as well see if we can get ourselves into the 21st century. I would like to say thank you for the people who have already turned their papers in. Encourage the people who haven't turned their papers in. I think in an election, the more the merrier. And I think it gives the public a choice, and I think that's very important. So thank you to those who have already turned them in. To those who haven't turned them in, please turn them in. Let's make this a good stable of candidates so that people can have a choice. And finally, I agree with the manager wholeheartedly about the rumors and the use of social media. I've been here a long time. And I have never seen, recently, I've never seen such an effort for transparency as this council has had now. It's a priority, and transparency is available. If you have to seek it, even if you have to seek it out through individual counselors, through the manager, through watching the videos that are provided, it's there. And there should not have to be so much time wasted backtracking on rumors that simply are not true, or stirring people up with situations that are a falsehood. I encourage people to seek out the truth. And like I say, I've never been involved with a council who has been so transparent, who has made an effort to be transparent as the ones over the last couple of years here. And so please take advantage of it. The manager, council members, as Councilor Bragdon said, if you want to go with me to have coffee, if you're paying, I'm well available to listen to any complaints that you have. You know, I only drink 1 cup at a time, so that's fine. But please, let's go ahead and get the information out there and try to go ahead and see if we can keep ourselves off social media with the negativity and try to get some positivity going. I think the community deserves it. I think we all deserve it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Dorr. Did you have something to add, Mr. Manager?
Yeah, I just wanted to add just a quick point about the ski tow. If we are awarded and if we do get additional grant funding, this will not be live this coming winter. We would be looking at the following winter. However, our incredible Public Works crew will be putting in a little bit of time over there in the coming month or so to get it cleaned up to the extent where it is much wider because it has grown in over the years. So they're going to get over there and do some clearing to make it just wider and safer for this coming winter for those of us with young kids who like to make good use of it. So I appreciate their effort in helping us with the nearsighted fix, working towards the long-term goal.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. I'm sure that appreciation is felt by all of us. Councilor Pelletier?
Yes, thank you for the report, manager. And Councilman Dorr, thank you for the plug on the transparency. That was pretty good. And on the IT issue, I have a question. Do you have an idea of what kind of money we're talking about?
Nope. Same as last time. we kind of just started diving in and looking at products before we proposed anything. I'm just looking for if the council would like me and Peter to start looking at possible upgrades. That's all.
Any idea what type of upgrades? I assume.
New mics, it's strictly sound and possibly camera. It's to do the microphones. The sound's the biggest issue right now. You know, obviously Zoom's been upgraded, the sound quality from Zoom has been upgraded, and obviously YouTube and everything's set up. Facebook is set up to be used. But before we can use Facebook appropriately, the sound needs to be fixed.
Oh, I certainly support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Pelletier. Any other council comment on the manager's report? Councilor McEwen?
All good notes, things going on. Just wanted to get at that straw poll for sound. If there are some improvements to have a better interface with like Facebook live feeds or what have you to get that working appropriately. I think that's, a venture well worth pursuing. If any equipment we still have that is obviously able to be used and is retainable, they did come at quite a cost. So if anything's compatible that we do have to use and keep, I think that's a plus. But if we need to replace some things to get better service, that's always something we should strive for.
Thank you, Councilor McEwen. Councilor Danforth?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll join in on that straw poll, and to agree to look at whatever proposal you bring forward to improve sound. Also, as far as the winter kids, I know you can cast a vote daily. I know you kept telling people to vote. So I know you can cast a vote daily for, I guess, each email address you have. But I also want to let you know, I saw Millinock Memorial Library on there, I think in a different category. So they're not competing and you can vote for both. So when you're on there, do dual purpose, please. There's two projects for Millinock. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. Any other council comment? Thank you, Mr. Manager, for the.
Just want to
Yes.
say that I don't think you can't vote more than once with the same email address. So that was my point in saying as many email addresses as you have, followed by one of those wink winks.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Or
clarification.
potentially people that would not mind you using their email address, like your siblings or whoever. Theoretically, of course. But thank you, Mr. Manager, for your report. And I agree with everyone else. Let's just see what you can come up with sound, Councilor Bragdon, Mr. Manager, and we'll decide that, I'm sure. With that, any comment from the public on the manager's report? And seeing none, we will move on. Council Danforth, if I could have you read order number 227, 2022, please.
Yes, order number 227-2022, providing for execution of the prior year town warrant for September 8th, 2022. It is ordered that the prior year town warrant for September 8th, 2022 in the amount of $19,396.50 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor Bragdon. Heavy hitters?
Yeah, there was the heaviest hitter was Bloomer and Russell, some legal fees, $15,361.50.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. Any other council comment? Seeing none, that of the public? Also seeing none, back to council. All those in favor, Councilor McEwen,
Aye.
Councilor Madore,
Aye.
Councilor Cray,
Aye.
Councilor Danforth,
Aye.
Chair voting by Councilor Bragdon,
Aye.
Councilor Pelletier. Order passes 7-0. And Councilor Danforth, if I could have you also read order number 228, 2022, please.
Order number 228-2022, providing for execution of the warrant, the town warrant for September 8th, 2022. It is ordered that the town warrant for September 8th, 2022 in the amount of $145,766.93 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor Bragdon. Heavy hitters on that one?
Yes, heavy hitters. $27,963, Bernstein, Scher, Sawyer, and Nelson. That's some hydro assessment mediation costs. Dead River, $6,212.11. $13,861.24, Hoyle Tanner and Associates, that's the engineering firm for their master plan upgrade for the airport. $25,000 to Millinocket Memorial Library, I believe that's our quarterly distribution to them. $21,000.27 Municipal Review Committee. $10,549 now Napa Auto Parts, and that's the waste oil furnace capital improvement. $15,000 to Michael Solinsky, that's part of the new filter system at the pool that's being put in.
Thank you, Council Danforth. Any other comment from the council? Seeing none, that of the public. Also seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor, Councilor Pelletier,
Aye.
Councilor Bragdon.
Aye.
Chair Gully, Councilor Danforth.
Aye.
Councilor Cray. Aye. Councilor Madore.
Aye.
Councilor McEwen.
Aye.
Order passes 7-0. And one more, Councilor Danforth, please. If I could have read order number 229, 2022, please.
Yes, order number 229-2022, providing for execution of the wastewater warrant for September 8th, 2022. It is ordered that the wastewater warrant for September 8th, 2022 in the amount of $149,106.43 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Danforth, seconded by Councilor Bragdon.
Yes, there's one big heavy hitter here, $140,260.45 Maine Municipal Bond Bank, and that's for sewer upgrade project.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. Any other council comment? Seeing none, that of the public. Also seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor, Councilor Pelletier,
Aye.
Councilor Bragdon.
Aye.
Chair Gully, Councilor Danforth,
Aye.
Councilor Cray.
Aye.
Councilor Madore,
Aye.
Councilor McEwen.
Aye.
Order passes 7-0. Councilor Pelletier, could I have you read order number 230, 2022, please?
Order number 230, 2022, providing for approval of an application for a victuals license for My Takeout. It is ordered that the tax application for a victuals license is hereby approved for My and Your 35 Pine Street, East Millinocket, Maine, doing business as My Takeout Mobile Food Distributor, trailer.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Pelletier, seconded by Councilor Bragdon. Discussion of the council. Councilor McEwen.
Thank you. Just a note for this order, as well as the following few orders up through order 234. I fully support, but will be abstaining for reasons of being the chair of the Trails and Festival Committee. And with that, I did want to just make a slight note in thanks for the town for helping really football these two vendors onto this agenda tonight. It's been a huge help, and let alone side just from this orders, a huge thanks to my fellow committee members, because my name's been plastered around all over the place. But it's great to see these orders coming before the council tonight for this event we're about to throw on. And just a huge shout out to Amber Wheaton, David Wheaton, Cannon York, Tom Malcolm, Denise DeVoe, Amy Collinsworth, and Frank Manzo. Hopefully I didn't forget anyone, but hopefully we'll be seeing a good festival coming up here. And thanks to the town for helping get these orders on the agenda. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor McEwen. Any other council comment?
Mr.
Seeing none,
Chairman.
out of the public. Oh, excuse me, Councilor Madore, go ahead.
Yes, I just have a question. The electrical upgrade to Veterans Memorial Park, are the outlets now active down there for the vendors to be able to hook up to? Has the power been turned on and those outlets available?
Lights, outlets, action.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Any other council comment?
I just have a quick question, and I'm not sure if I'm reading this right. Just some of on the last page, like licenses needed, it just says it expires 1/31/2022. Can that be addressed? Is that current?
that will be discussed in public comment. Yes, and why don't you get right to that, Chief Malcolm? Thank you.
Tom Malcolm, 73 School Street, Fire Chief, Public Health Officer. I recommend that you pass this tonight, but they will not be able to use it until we get clarification. They do not have a state license. My understanding is that their service safe has expired and they were not relicensed. I'm waiting to talk to the HHS about this matter to see if something had been done with COVID where they had let people, given them some kind of a grant or some kind of a condition. But if they do not have a state license, they will not be serving food in Millinocket. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Malcolm. Councilor Prey?
I would just point out that state law requires that they have to have a license posted to operate. So obviously, if they don't have the license, they're violating law, which would be a hefty fine for them, which I don't think they'd make in that weekend or that activity might make enough, but it's going to be, they'd probably be denied a license going forward. So
Thank you, Councilor Prey. Chief Malcolm?
That's correct, Councilor Prey, as well as the town of Millinocket. That would also put me on the line for it, which puts you on the line for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comment or question? Seeing none, out of the public? Also seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor, Councilor McEwen,
Abstain.
Councilor Madore,
Aye.
Councilor Prey,
aye.
Councilor Danforth,
Aye.
Chair Gully by, Councilor Bragdon,
Aye.
Councilor Pelletier.
Aye.
Order passes 601. Councilor Braden, if I could have you read order number 231, 2022, please.
Order number 231-2022, providing for approval of an application for a vehicular license for Joe's Chuck Wagon. It is ordered that the attached application for a vehicular license is hereby approved for Joseph Larson. How do you pronounce that road name? Okay, Tunacomis Street, Old Town, Maine, doing business as Joe's Chuck Wagon Mobile Food Truck.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Bragdon, seconded by Councilor Danforth. Discussion of the council. Seeing none, out of the public. Also seeing none, back to the council. Mr. Manager?
I don't know if maybe Cody can answer this question, but what does Joe's Chuck Wagon do?
They have
Like Chuck, like
standard
ground
Ameri-
Chuck?
they do standard American like treat offerings, but they also have barbecued pulled pork, I believe, and some other chips, soda, water.
Oh, thank you.
Well, now I'm definitely in favor. Thank you, Mr. Manager. All those in favor, Councilor Pelletier,
Aye.
Councilor Bragdon,
Absolutely.
Chair Gully by, Councilor Danforth.
Aye.
Councilor Prey,
Aye.
Councilor Madore,
Aye.
Councilor McEwen.
Abstain.
Passes 601. Councilor Prey, if I could ever read order number 232.
Order number
2022.
232-2022, providing for approval for street closure for Trails End Festival. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council grant approval for the closure of the following streets and parking lots for the Trails End Festival. 1, Veterans Memorial Parking Lot from 7 a.m. on Friday, September 16th until midnight on Saturday, September 17th. 2, Popular Street from Penobscot to Katahdin Avenue from noon on Friday, September 16th until midnight on Saturday, September 17th. 3, Congress Street from Birch Street to Granite Street on Sunday, September 18th from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Only allow local residents access to and from their homes. 4, inside outgoing travel lanes on Central Street Bridge on Sunday, September 18th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for the Rubber Duck Race. Note, the police officer will lead the parade from Stearns High School across Second Street to Penobscot Avenue and down to the bandstand at 10 a.m. on Saturday, September 17th.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Prey, seconded by Councilor Madore. Discussion of the council. Seeing none, out of the public? Also seeing none, back to the council, all those in favor, Councillor Pelletier,
Aye.
Councillor Bragdon.
Aye.
Chair Goley, aye, Councillor Danforth.
Aye.
Councillor Cray. Councillor Madore,
Aye.
Councillor McEwen,
Abstain.
passes 6-0-1. And Councillor Pelletier, if I could have read order number 233, 2022, please.
Order number 233, 2022, providing for approval to expend $370 from the events committee budget. Whereas the Trails End Festival will be hosting their annual event, and the events committee would like to provide a dunk tank for the festival. Whereas the events committee wants to rent a dunk tank for $370 from Taylor Events and Equipment Rental. It is therefore now ordered that $370 is expended from the account E1106-7012, leaving a remaining balance of $9,025 to rent the dunk tank from Taylor Events Equipment Rental. Note, the events committee wasn't able to meet in time for the festival, but members were called to see if they were in support of the order. Recommendation passed at the committee level 402. Pelletier and St. John were not asked or did not respond.
Second.
I'll respond now. You got it.
Motion by Councillor Pelletier, seconded by Councillor Madore. Discussion of the council, Councillor Bragdon.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, Ms. St. John was called, did not respond, and I knew Councillor Pelletier was gonna be here tonight, so I'd let him speak, for himself if he was in favor or not.
Thank you, Councillor Bragdon. Any other council comment? Councillor Cray?
Mr. Chairman, in a previous life, in a previous elected position, I used to volunteer for the dunk tank every year at the Piscataqua County Fair. So I would like to issue a challenge to fellow councilors. I want to help this organization have a great day. Councilors that have never been in a dunk tank before should volunteer.
Thank you, Councillor Cray. Can't imagine anyone would want to dunk me in this community, but any other council comment? Councillor Pelletier?
I'd volunteer, but you need a cherry picker to get me out of the dunk tank.
Thank you, Councillor Pelletier. Councillor Madore?
I echo council. I have been in dunk tanks before for various things in the town, but not for quite a while. But if I am not working, I make myself available to be in the dunk tank. And I also would like to challenge Councilor Goley. I think we could probably go ahead and have a record turnout and raise a considerable amount of funds between the two of us. Thank you.
I somehow don't disagree, Councillor Madore. Councillor Bragdon?
I also want to point out, because it came up in discussion, the dunk tank is free for use. There's a lot of children I'm sure want to be involved. So it is completely free to dunk your fellow counselors and possibly the manager if we can get him in.
Mr. Manager?
I was voluntold. I have been informed that I will be in the dunk tank. I was somewhat disappointed to find out that it was free because I am certain that if it was a fundraiser and the town manager, our council chairman, and of course now Councilor Madore, I think we could raise a whole lot of money because I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that want to dunk us at any point in time. Now, all fun aside, I do have a very real question and point of clarification that I need to ask about. It was brought to my attention that we may not technically need to bring these orders for expenditures from the events committee budget to the council as it is part of an already approved budget and approved spending for that line. So can I have some further clarification on that?
Although we approve the budget for every item, we still have to approve it as a council individually for each expenditure. It needs to be also commented on by the public and for everyone to be aware of where the money is going, which is really the intent as well. So yes.
What I can ask these questions offline. I have been told by others with, you know, more of a historical set of knowledge that it may not be necessary to do that. We can have that discussion later and look into it.
We certainly can, unless any other counselor wants to comment on that right now. Counselor Madore?
Yeah, I believe that the events committee, even though money has been approved for their use, I believe that for this, again, the sake of transparency and for the fact that, like the recreation department or whatever, items come up that still get council approval, even though their budget lines have been approved for the year for expenditure. So I see no real difference. And I think that it's just a matter of, it's a clerical matter. And I also think it's informing the public. So I have no problem with taking the items up individually for drawdowns of the accounts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Madore. And just to add to that, that's essentially what the warrants are as well, which is basically an already approved budget that the council still has to approve all of them, not necessarily individually as we do with this one, but it still needs to come to a public vote for all expenditures, regardless of what it is. Councilor Bragdon?
Because it was brought up, I do want to point out that there have been some members that do attend the events committee meetings or see them on YouTube. There is much agreement for this. So public outreach has been very positive on this, just so everyone's aware. I didn't get a chance to put that in the note, but I have talked to people in the public.
Thank you, Councilor Bragdon. Any other council comment, Councilor Prey?
Mr. Chairman, just quickly back to the dunk tank and whether it's free or somebody wants to voluntarily make a donation to throw an extra ball or something that it might help there'll be some people willing to pay. Depending on who's on the.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you, Councilor Prey. Any other, Councilor Danforth?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just thinking about this expense and the question that was raised. I think if you came forward, the events committee came forward and say the trails end coming up, we would like $600 to be allocated to us for, to be able to put towards events. And this was one of them. Maybe it wouldn't have to come item by item, but because there's so many events and we talked about when we allocated this, okay, the age-friendly committee has events coming up or some other things. I don't think we could each committee like, oh, I'm going to spend this, you're going to spend, there needs to be this discussion at this level, like where the funds are going. But if in the planning that was done far enough ahead and you say, okay, this particular event, we need X amount of dollars, maybe that's when an order comes, and then you have 3 or 4 different things that you need to use that money for, like supplies for that event. And we can talk about this more, but I too think at this point that we need to approve some of this, just so we're know where the budget, where things are being spent.
Thank you, Councilor Danforth. And just to add to that, we did adopt committee policies, or a committee policy that requires the council to make any decision, that committees can be investigatory, that they can make recommendations to the council, do research for the council, but any action, which obviously includes any expenditures from the town, requires council approval. Councilor Bragdon?
Basically what I was gonna say, it's along the same lines, I will let my fellow committee members speak for themselves, but I feel way more comfortable if it's approved by the councilors instead of my committee. Obviously, we just simply send recommendations, but again, it's transparency, as Councilor Madore said.
Thank you, Councilor Bragdon. Any other council comment? Seeing none, that of the public? Yes?
Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. And sitting back here, I think you may have hit on something. We've been trying to get more people to council meetings, have a dunk tank set up, and it's different council every week. Yeah, think about it.
Can we
I'm
skip?
sure we'd have a
February?
greater attendance. Councilor Madore?
I was just thinking we should probably skip the month of February. It would be a little chilly.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor, Councillor Pelletier,
Aye.
Councillor Bragdon,
Abstain.
Chair Gully by, Councillor Danforth,
Aye.
Councillor Cray,
Aye.
Councillor McEwen,
Abstain.
Councillor Madore.
Aye.
Order passes 502. And Councillor Braden, if I could have a read order number 234, 2022, please.
Order number 234-2022, providing for municipal release deed big. It is ordered that the municipal release deed is approved from Mark Big for property located at 231 Highland Ave, Millinocket, Maine, as shown on map U03 lot 198 as outstanding tax, interest, and fees totaling $2,587.13 have been paid of August 30th, 2022. It is further ordered that the town manager is authorized to execute and file all the necessary paperwork, including signing a municipal release deed to complete the sale of the property referenced above.
Second.
Motion by Councillor Bragdon, seconded by Councillor Pelletier. Discussion of the council. Seeing none, that of the public. Also seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor, Councillor Madore,
Aye.
Councillor McEwen,
Aye.
Councillor Cray,
Aye.
Councillor Danforth,
Aye.
Chair Gully by, Councillor Bragdon, Councillor Pelletier.
Aye.
Order passes 7-0. And Councillor Madore, if I could have a read. Did you get the new order, Councillor Madore?
No, I did not, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Danforth, if I could have a read order number 235, 2022, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, order number 235-2022, providing for approval of application for reappointment to the Cemetery Committee. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the reappointment of James Nyman to the Cemetery Committee for a 5-year term to expire July 2027.
Second.
Motion by Councillor Danforth, seconded by Councillor Prey. Discussion of the council. Seeing none, and of the public. Also seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor, Councillor McEwen,
Aye.
Councillor Madore,
Aye.
Councillor Prey,
Aye.
Councillor Danforth,
Aye.
Chair Gully by, Councillor Bragdon, Councillor Pelletier.
Aye.
Order passes 7-0. That moves us to reports and communications. The warrant committee for September 22nd, 2022 council meeting will be Councillor McEwen and Pelletier, if you're both good with that.
Yes.
Thank you both. Any chair committee reports? Councillor Danforth?
Yep, excuse me, I have a quick age-friendly Millinocket, not report, I guess, just announcement, right? So, there is a Millinocket Walkers and Wheelers group, right? Now, they changed the name Walkers and Wheelers Group that meets 1:30 now on Fridays by Yum Bakery. And they do a walk of part of the Mizzou Trail. So that's part of the age friendly committee. If you want to join some others and go for a walk in our community, there's a scheduled walk 1:30 on Fridays. Also, there is a new, I say new, it'll be meeting for the 3rd time this month, a caregiver support group on the 4th Wednesdays from 3 to 4 at Millinocket Memorial Library. More to come. I'll have some more information for that to come, but that's a great caregiver. That's a great group that has started. A need in our community has been met through a partnership with Eastern Area Agency on Aging and our local age-friendly group. So more to come on that too.
Thank you, Councillor Danforth. Any other chair committee reports? Mr. Manager?
Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Councillor Madore?
Yeah, I would just offer that the walk group should finish. I think they would probably get a bigger turnout if they finished at Yum's Bakery. I just think that the reward for finishing would be so great that you would get a much bigger turnout. That's just my thought. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
They do start and finish the same location, so they do come full circle. And we welcome you to join them so you can see what it's like.
In about a month.
Thank you, Councillor Madore. Mr. Manager?
Ralph, I have the cemetery committee meeting notes up. Did you want to provide an update or did you want me to read a few of these bullet points for us? Yeah, so some of the high level, this is from the cemetery committee meeting on August 25th. Some of the bigger topics in here are that it was mentioned that doing things like installing small rocks and planting items that are not allowed according to the rules of cemeteries. So we want to be informing the public to pay attention to the rules on what is allowed to be installed or planted, placed around the memorial sites. There is some discussion on wanting to post on the website and social media pages the deadlines for removing these items from the plots to be removed by Veterans Day, as that's when Public Works will start cleaning up before the winter. There is some concern about residents walking in the cemetery during mowing and string trimming maintenance. You know, that could potentially be hazardous, so it's an ongoing conversation. So there was a recent incident where the cemetery's riding lawnmower was stolen after hours and gallivanted all over town, damaged. It took quite a while for, you know, Ralph and the police department to locate it and get it back. So there is some discussion on whether or not the gates to the cemetery should be locked at night, and who would be ultimately taking the responsibility of locking and unlocking that, whether it be Public Works or potentially law enforcement. So that is a topic of discussion among that group. And there are some sections of the fencing around the facility that they will be looking to have fixed or maintained and blocked off so that, you know, people can't access it from those areas. They talked about cameras, possible wireless communication with that to be able to keep an eye on it. And I think that's pretty well all the big stuff. Is there anything I missed there, Ralph? No? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any other chair committee reports? There's going to be 2 committee meetings tomorrow, sustainability at 9 and economic development at 12:30. Mostly discussing the projects that we've been working on for quite some time, including the new fire station building. We're going to get a presentation from the architect that worked on that project, designer, Mitch Razor. He'll be there via Zoom to update us on the feasibility of that site to hopefully inform future decisions. And we'll also be discussing in economic development, among other things, the ATV snowmobile issues and how to address basically bringing in that healthy economic driver into the town in a way that works for everyone. So we look forward to participation there. And of course, we're also going to host Amber for the Sustainability Committee, as we discussed earlier. Any other chair committee reports? Seeing none, with that, 2-minute public comment. Anyone from the public would like to address the council? Chief Malcolm?
Tom Malcolm, 73 School Street Fire Chief. Just a reminder, Sunday is September 11th, will be the 21st anniversary of the horrific actions in New York City. Also, to bring the council aware and to make the community aware, we will have our 6th firefighter starting on Sunday. And we're in the process, the town manager, human resource, and myself with the assistant chief position, doing some interviews there. So I just wanted to remind the council, I have filled those 2 positions. Once I get them rolling and things are looking good. That gives us 6. I'd like to get back and talk to you again about the other 2. Thank you. They have 2 to a shift. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chief Malcolm. That's excellent news. Certainly something that we've been looking forward to for quite some time. Any other public comment? And seeing none, seeking a motion, was there a comment, Councilor Frey? Councilor Pelletier?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Pelletier, seconded by Councilor Danforth. All those in favor, Councilor Madore,
Aye.
Councilor McEwen,
Aye.
Councilor Frey,
Aye.
Councilor Danforth,
Aye.
Chair Gully, aye. Councilor Bragdon. Nay. Councilor Pelletier.
Aye. Love you.
We are adjourned.